Today, we're diving into how Bangladesh is tackling a massive energy challenge with two really bold new policies. We're going to explore how they're turning everyday rooftops into mini power stations, and at the same time, creating a brand new market for clean electricity from the ground up.
Okay, so picture this. Bangladesh hits this monumental goal of providing electricity to its entire population. It's a huge victory. But once the celebration is over, you're left with this critical question: what now? What comes next?
You see, getting to 100% electrification, well, that was just the starting line. Now the real race begins. How do you make all that power sustainable, affordable, and competitive on a global scale? I mean, think about it. Getting the lights on for every single person is an absolutely historic achievement, but it immediately throws up a huge question. How on earth do you power a nationwide grid with clean energy in one of the most densely populated countries in the world? And that density, it creates a major physical wall. The first solution you'd probably think of, these huge, sprawling solar farms, is incredibly hungry for land. We're talking more than an acre for just a single megawatt. In a country where land is an incredibly precious resource, that's just not a solution that can scale up.
And it's not just about the physical space. There's this huge economic pressure cooker building up. You've got international buyers, especially for things like textiles and garments, and they're demanding that products be made using green energy. So for Bangladesh's export sector, which is the lifeblood of the economy, cutting carbon isn't just some nice environmental goal. It's become an urgent economic necessity for survival in the global market.
So you're squeezed between a rock and a hard place, a land shortage on one side, and intense international pressure on the other. What do you do? Well, the government's response is actually pretty clever. They've come up with a two-pronged attack, hitting the problem from both the individual level and the industrial level at the same time.
And this slide really lays out the whole strategy. On one hand, they're going rooftop down. This is all about empowering regular citizens and businesses to become their own little power producers. At the same time, they're building from the market up, creating a whole new competitive arena for big, private, green energy companies to jump into.
These two big ideas are built on the foundations of two key policies: the updated net metering guidelines for all those rooftops and the new merchant power plant policy to create that new market. So let's break down what each one actually does.
All right, first up, let's look at the policy that could turn pretty much any roof in the country into a potential source of clean energy. This is all about the power of decentralization.
Now, this policy introduces a key concept, a word you're going to want to know: the prosumer. And it's exactly what it sounds like, right? A mix of producer and consumer. You're no longer just a passive buyer of electricity. You're actively producing it yourself right from your own rooftop.
So, how does this actually work in real life? It's a really simple four-step loop. Step 1, your solar panels soak up the sun and generate electricity. Step 2, you use whatever you need to power your home or your business. Step 3, any extra power you generate that you don't use gets sent right back out to the national grid. And here's the best part: Step 4, the utility company actually credits your monthly bill for every unit of power you supplied.
And what's great is that they've made this super accessible. There are two different ways you can get involved. First is the CAPEX model, which stands for capital expenditure. That's where you pay for the system yourself. You own it and you get all the financial benefits. But what if you don't have that cash up front? That's where the OPEX model, or operating expenditure, comes in. A third-party company will come and install the whole system on your roof for free. You just agree to buy the clean electricity it produces, usually at a rate that's cheaper than what you'd pay the grid anyway.
Okay, so that's the solution for individual rooftops. But while that's happening, the second half of this strategy goes big. It's aimed squarely at unleashing the private sector to power Bangladesh's industrial engine with green energy.
This introduces something called a merchant power plant, or an MPP. Now, these are a totally new kind of power company. They don't have some guaranteed contract to sell power to the government. Nope. They operate like any other business, producing renewable energy and then selling it directly on the open market to big customers, like a factory or a business park. At a competitive price they negotiate themselves.
But you might be wondering, how does a private power plant in one part of the country sell electricity to a factory hundreds of miles away? Well, this is where the policy is so innovative. It basically treats the national grid like a public highway for electricity.
And just like any highway, you got to pay a toll to use it. That fee is called an open access tariff. It's essentially the toll that an MPP pays to put their clean energy onto the grid's highway
and then take it off at their customer's exit ramp. This one simple mechanism, this toll road for electricity, is what blows the entire market wide open for competition. So let's put it all together. We have solar panels on rooftops for individuals and this new open market for big industry. What does this all actually add up to? What's the real-world impact for the country, for businesses, and for regular people?
Well, when you look at the whole picture, it creates this fantastic win-win-win scenario. For homeowners, it means lower electricity bills and maybe even a way to earn money from your roof. For those critical export industries, it finally gives them the access they need to certified green energy to stay competitive. For the nation, it's a way to hit climate goals without having to use up vast amounts of that scarce land. And for the economy as a whole, it attracts a ton of private investment and creates a much more modern, resilient, and competitive energy sector.
By cleverly combining this bottom-up approach with a top-down one, Bangladesh isn't just solving an energy problem. It's actually laying the groundwork for a future where sustainable growth and economic competitiveness go hand in hand. This is so much more than just a power grid update. It could be the blueprint for the entire next chapter of the country's growth story.